Hello all, welcome to the lecture. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss some of the important topics related to your international relations, some recent news that were there and how important they are. We are going to discuss the details associated with these news. So let us start. Firstly, we are going to discuss about a very important issue that cropped up recently was the Gilgit in the Gilgit-Baltistan region. So Pakistan authorities, they finalized a law that they are going to award to the provincial status to the strategically located Gilgit-Baltistan. And India clearly conveyed to Pakistan that the entire UT of Jammu and Kashmir and your Ladakh and including the regions of Gilgit and Baltistan, they are an integral part of the country. And India opposed to any kind of change in this illegally occupied territory. So Pakistan, what it did was it finalized a bill that is going to grant a new status to this Gilgit-Baltistan region. And India maintains the government of Pakistan or judiciary. They have no locus stance on this particular issues. So we need to know what is this particular region. If you look at the map, so this Gilgit-Baltistan region is one of the disputed territories of India. And it is located strategically because you can see it borders Pakistan, it borders Afghanistan and China. So it is a chunk of high altitude territory which is located on the northern western corner of the Union Territory of Ladakh, and it has been illegally and forcibly occupied by Pakistan. If you go and understand the background of this Gilgit-Baltistan dispute, so this region that you are seeing, it is actually claimed by India. That this region is part of its princely state of Jammu and Kashmir as it existed in the year 1947 when the accession was done to India. So it was the Maharaja Hari Singh, who was the last Dogra ruler of Jammu Kashmir, who signed this instrument of accession with India in 1947. But it is under the Pakistan's control, we can see, from since 4th November 1947, following the invasion of Kashmir by tribal militants and Pakistan army. When this invasion happened, so India took a stand and it moved to United Nations Security Council to raise this issue in 1948. And at that time, it was the United Nations Security Council which passed a resolution that Pakistan need to withdraw from Jammu and Kashmir on immediate basis and India to reduce the forces to the minimum level. But no withdrawal was ever carried out, and this particular territory that we can see is still a contentious issue for India, and it has remained a contentious issue over the time period. So what is the current status in the Gilgit-Baltistan region? So firstly, this particular region is an autonomous region, and once the bill was passed, it became the 5th province of the country. So currently, how many provinces Pakistan had was 4. So they are Balochistan and your Punjab, Sindh and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa region. And recently, this became the 5th province of the country. So presently, you will see that it is being ruled by mostly by the executive orders. And by until 2009, this particular region was simply called as your northern areas, and the present name that we can say Gilgit-Baltistan, this name came in 2009, which actually replaced the northern areas legislative council with the legislative assembly. So what is the India stand on this issue? So India maintains that the government of Pakistan and the judiciary of Pakistan, they have no locus standi on the territories that are illegally and forcefully that are occupied by Pakistan. So India is clear that UT of Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh and the areas of Gilgit and Baltistan, they are an integral part of country by the virtue that it's fully legal and irrevocable accession. So India has protested to China that your CPEC and this China Pakistan economic corridor, it is being laid through Pakistan occupied Kashmir. So this is one of the issues that is there on this particular region. So location is important, and the current issue, what is the bill regarding, and we have covered that. Another issue was between India and Tibet. China has recently completed a construction, and that is a construction of a highway, and that too in Tibet. And the reason is it want to enable a greater access to the remote areas along the disputed border with Arunachal Pradesh in India. So if we look at Tibet, Tibet is generally called as Asia's water tower, because Tibet's glacier, they feed Asia's great rivers. If I talk about Yellow, your Mekong River, Brahmaputra, Yangtze, Indus. So mineral water from the plateau has become one of the region's first commercially tapped resources, and China's biggest copper deposit is at Tibet's Yolong copper mine. So by this, we can realize that how important Tibet is for China. A lot of other resources we can find in China, Tibet region, such as your iron, zinc, cadmium deposits. So China needs all these minerals because it needs to feed its booming economy. And all the geologists, they are of the concern that Tibet also possesses significant crude oil and natural gas reserves. So Buddhism, if we look at the roots of Buddhism, it was introduced in Tibet by Indians, and it is the home of Dalai Lama. And this is, we all know that it is a contentious issue between India and China. After the Panchsheel Agreement, this Panchsheel Agreement, we also call it the Agreement on Trade and Intercourse between the Tibet region of China and India. What India decided was that India is going to give up extra territorial rights in Tibet, and such as your military escorts, post offices, telegraph, and other things. So India accepted the principle that Tibet constitutes an integral part of China. And another thing that is there in news is your Tibet Policy and Support Act, that is by USA 2020. What is this TPSA? So TPSA calls for the establishment of a US consulate in Tibet's main city of Lhasa, which is the absolute right of Tibetans to choose a successor to the Dalai Lama and the preservation of the Tibet's environment. And when this act was passed, a lot of aggression came out from the Chinese side. Another news we are going to discuss is related to India and Bangladesh. So the year 2021 was important for the relations between India and Bangladesh. So 2021 was marked as the 50 years of the 1971 India-Pakistan war that led to the liberation of Bangladesh. And in the virtual summit that was held between the Prime Minister of India and Bangladesh, a lot of things were discussed. So both sides discussed issues related to your border management and security. So both sides, they agreed to work towards finalizing the delineation of the fixed boundaries along your Kalindi, Haribhanga rivers. And connectivity was also discussed, that India and Bangladesh, they are going to inaugurate a newly restored railway link that is going between the Haldibari and Chilahati of Bangladesh. So this is going to be very, very important, and Bangladesh has expressed a keen interest in, in the ongoing Myanmar-Thailand trilateral highway project also. So if I look at the relations with Bangladesh, definitely our relations with Bangladesh have always remained quite friendly. But over the time period, we know that China's influence over the region has increased significantly. And at that time, when we mark this golden jubilee with Bangladesh and such ideas and consultations that were discussed, so it marked that yes, the bond is still quite strong. So they discussed on cooperation in water resources, power and energy also. So another news that is related to India-Bangladesh is the India-Bangladesh Protocol on inland water transit and trade. So it is basically the ports of call are intermediate stops for a ship on its scheduled journey for taking on supply of fuel. And this PIWTT was signed with inclusion of new routes and declaration of these new ports of call. Now we are going to discuss about the World Giving Index. So what is this World Giving Index? Who releases this World Giving Index and India's rank in this World Giving Index? So World Giving Index is basically an annual report. An annual report which represents that the charitable, as the name suggests, giving. So the charitable nature of all nations across the globe. So the information is actually prepared by the Charities Aid Foundation, and all the data that is the information is based on the data that is collected by Gallup, and Gallup is a US based analytics company, and the company, it is known for conducting the public opinion polls, and that too in different spheres. So this World Giving Index, it is coming since 2010, and it is basically ensuring to study the giving natures of the country, that how much countries are contributing towards the world affairs. And the annual World Giving Index, it provides insights into the giving nature of the country. So when this giving index was released in 2021, it noticed that COVID-19 pandemic resulted in an increase in the act of giving in many countries. And when the crisis came, many people came forward to help the unknown. And the significant findings of the World Giving Index are that Indonesia, Kenya and Nigeria, these were the top 3 most generous countries in the index. And it also mentioned some of the worst performing countries. So what were the worst performing countries? Your Belgium, Portugal, Japan. So the rank was 112, 113 and 114 respectively. So it was there in the report that the donations and the aid coming from the countries increased during the pandemic period, but the levels of volunteering, they were quite same. About India, so in the World Giving Index 2021 report, it does regarding India, the finding was that from its 10-year global rank of 82, now India has come to the 14th spot among the 114 countries that were part of this 2021 survey. So as per the survey for India, 61%, this is a huge number, of Indians have helped strangers, and 36% of Indians granted money to support, and around 34% of the Indians volunteered for a good cause. So India, we can say, that is now part of the top 20 most generous countries globally. Another important news is that External Affairs Minister, he announced the rollout of a situational awareness platform in partnership with United Nations, which is known as Unite Aware, to help enhance the safety of the UN peacekeepers. So this was announced during the recent United Nations Security Council open debate on technology and peacekeeping. So what is Unite Aware? So Unite Aware is basically a mobile tech platform. And this platform is actually developed by India, where India is providing the terrain related information to the UN peacekeepers so that their safety can be ensured. So India has spent around 1.65 million US dollar for this particular project, and this initiative is based on the exception that an entire peacekeeping operation can be visualized, coordinated, and monitored on a real-time basis. So who are the top 5 providers of UN's peacekeeping operations from 2020 to 2021? So United States stands first at 27.89%. Then comes your China, Japan, Germany, and UK. So the UN's peacekeeping operations, they are very significant operations, and we can see the contributions of different countries in it. So UN peacekeeping, if I talk about what are these UN peacekeeping operations, so we need to know that these particular operations are basically happen to help the countries worldwide, if there is any kind of situation. So countries that, that navigate the difficult path from conflict to peace. And these United Nations peacekeeping missions are of great significance. So thank you. With this, we end the lecture here.